What's going on, guys and girls, and welcome on back to the channel. Now, we've got a different style of tier list this time. Very different to one I did with my Sonic. A good friend of mine, over on Kick and YouTube and Facebook streaming, did a tier list of his rankings for the Nintendo home console systems. And it triggered me. It sent me over the edge. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer, what are you trying to do to me, my friend? I'll stick a link in the description below so you guys can go check him out on all his socials. He's such a cool dude, has fantastic streams, and just got awesome energy. But I have to respond. So, this is my ranking system for the 7 released Nintendo home entertainment consoles. Let's do this. Right, here we go, guys. Right, I am going to rank these in the same order that you ranked in West Yorkshire. And I'm also going to add a little bit extra to it, because I like to talk about some of the games that made the consoles what they are. So, with my list, my ranking system, I'm going to rank the consoles in the same order you did, and I'm going to give you 3 games that, in my opinion, were the best 3 games on that system. So let's get into this. Right, so the first console that you ranked was the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, I'm not going to go into where you ranked it, and anyone that's watching this video, you might want to go and check out West Yorkshire's video first before you check this one out. But I rank the NES as 3rd. The NES was, is the most iconic console of all time. If it wasn't for the NES, the gaming industry wouldn't be what it is today. Atari destroyed the gaming industry with its absolute abundance of crap it kept launching, and Nintendo fixed it. If it wasn't for the NES and the Nintendo Entertainment System and its sheer mass library of amazing games, the gaming community, or the gaming in general, just wouldn't be what it is today. So you have to give credit where credit is due. The Nintendo is easily one of the best consoles of all time, and you cannot argue it had one of the most impressive libraries of games. Now, talking about the games, the 3 greatest games, in my opinion, well, I won't say the 3 greatest, my 3 best games on the NES are Batman, Little Samson, and Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, let's kickstart this with Batman. Easily one of the best platformers on the system. Fantastic graphics. An amazing soundtrack. No one does soundtracks as good as Sunsoft. No matter how good or how bad the game is, their soundtracks are unbeatable. Little Samson, an absolute incredible platformer. Multiple characters to play through. Multiple ways to traverse the world. Great puzzles. And just a solid game from start to finish. And Super Mario 3, easily one of the most iconic Mario games of all time. Mario 1 kickstarted the franchise. It was a staple in the NES's launch. Mario 2, I'm not a huge fan of. Obviously, we all know that that was a reskin of another game. But Mario 3, in my opinion, escalated the franchise. Perfect game from start to finish. Fantastic puzzle platforming. Loads, hours upon hours of gameplay. And in my opinion, easily one of the best Mario games of all time. The only way Mario 3 gets better is when you go over to the Super Nintendo and play the All-Stars version. So Batman, Little Samson, and Mario 3, in my opinion, are three staples of the NES's library. Now, the next console that you ranked was the Super Nintendo. I rank this as the second best Nintendo console released. Again, Nintendo went from strength to strength with an absolute incredible library of games. A lot of games basically jumped up in quality, such as, like the NES had your Metroid, Super Nintendo had Super Metroid, the NES had the Castlevania series, and the Super Nintendo had the Super Castlevania. Super Nintendo, in my opinion, easily one of the best consoles ever made. Beautiful design. The controller is beautiful. It fits in your hand like a glove. Now, as for the three games that I've picked, in my opinion, are my three best games on the Super Nintendo. And they are Super Castlevania, Mega Man X, and Donkey Kong Country. Super Castlevania took everything that the original Castlevania trilogy did. Even Simon's Quest, because I am a fan of Simon's Quest, took everything that them three games did and just ramped it up. An amazing soundtrack, awesome platforming, and just a well-rounded adventure game. The only downfall with Castlevania, Super Castlevania, is its difficulty was through the roof. But that's a skill issue on my part. Super Castlevania, incredible game. Mega Man X. There's no one out there that can say anything bad about Mega Man X. Mega Man X took that franchise to its next level. Gave Mega Man a new look, a new modern look. Introduced an amazing power-ups for him. And just made a perfect, fluid game from start to finish. And Donkey Kong Country took graphics on the Super Nintendo to the next level when they introduced the 3D style characters in it, 3D style levels, an amazing game, and who can forget this song? You would have that tune, that theme buzzing through your head for absolute days. You didn't care about starting the game again because you knew you were going to listen to that tune just pumping out, and it was amazing. It's probably one of the best video game themes of all time. So yeah, Super Castlevania, Mega Man X, and Donkey Kong Country. Three amazing games for the Super Nintendo. And I think if anyone ever does a list for some of the best games on the Super Nintendo, these three will be on it for multiple different reasons. Now, the next console on this list is the Nintendo 64, which I rank fourth in the list. Now, the N64, don't get me wrong, was a really good console, but barring the obvious games, your Mario 64s, your Ocarina of Times, your Majora's Mask, which personally I didn't enjoy, and kind of the other staple ones, I felt as though the library was really, really lackluster. Now, don't get me wrong, the N64 was a huge step forward when it came to the movement into modern gaming, because this is where we got the proper 3D games. Mario 64 is easily one of the best games on the N64 by far. Barring that, I felt as though a lot of the other games were just basic carbon copies. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of love for Donkey Kong 64. I personally don't like it. I think it's really, really jank. And the only other game that really jumps to mind, which I did enjoy, because it was a game that I felt broke a lot of boundaries, which was Conker's Bad Fur Day. I mean, when you was playing that as a kid, and it had swear words in it and stuff like that, it was kind of like a guilty pleasure. It's like, oh wait, my parents aren't going to see me playing this game. But yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day was a good game. But anyway, on to my top 3 games for this system, and they are WWF No Mercy, Super Mario 64, and please guys, bear with me, because I know there's a lot of people that are going to be like, what the f did you just say? Mega Man 64.
Oh, hell no!
Now, let me get started with No Mercy. I was a huge WWF fan, huge wrestling fan. It was like a religion to me. I had to have everything from the video games, the toys, the t-shirts, everything. WWF WrestleMania was incredible. It was a massive game. There was no wrestling games like that. And obviously you had like the WCW thing, but WCW could kiss my ass back in the day. You was either a WF fan or you was a WCW fan. But WWF WrestleMania was absolutely incredible. And then they brought out No Mercy. No Mercy, in my opinion, was, and still even to this day, is one of the best wrestling games of all time. Awesome story mode, there's branching past story modes, character creation, all my best wrestlers in there, entrance themes, entrances. It just had everything that you could want from a wrestling game. Yeah, so that's easily my best game on the N64. Mario 64, like I said, was a landmark game for the Nintendo 64. Fantastic introduction into the 3D Mario games, and was done just it was perfection. Great world design, loads to do in it, collecting coins, collecting red coins, collecting stars. Your jump puzzling and you're traversing the world, but it just had everything, and a great soundtrack. There's a lot of games I will say that, because I think a soundtrack in a video game is a must-have. If you've not got a good soundtrack, people will just get numbed out. So yeah, Mario 64, fantastic game. Mega Man 64. I'm a huge Mega Man fan. Mega Man is one of my favourite franchises of all time. All the way from 1 to 7 on the NES, the Mega Man X series on the Super Nintendo, and then this was the introduction to the 3D Mega Man. Now, don't get me wrong, this game has not aged well. It's really hard to play now, and it's hard to stay in love with the game. Nostalgia goggles did get me with this. Has got me with this one. I've recently played it again. Recently on stream over on Kick. It's not aged well, but it holds a lot of nostalgia for me. A 3D Mega Man game, going around shooting enemies like your typical droid enemies. This actually, I just loved it. It was just absolutely brilliant. It had nostalgia. It's not great now. And graphically, the PS1 version is superior. I just preferred the controllers for the N64. I thought the button layout on the N64 controller was a lot better for a game of this style. So yeah, No Mercy, Mario 64, and Mega Man 64. Now, on to the next console, which is easily my favourite console of all time. My favourite console of any console that's ever existed, and that is the GameCube. Now, this is where your video triggered me
Emotional damage.
to the point where I really wanted to stop watching. You ranked it quite low, which is absolutely criminal. Now, and I can see a lot of your statements about it is it didn't have a lot of a benchmark games. Not necessarily true. It could have had more, but I do agree that the lackluster of fighting, like beat 'em up games like your Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, that sort of thing, there was none on the GameCube, which is it's really ticks me off because that's like one of my favourite franchises to go to. But the library it had wasn't huge, but I would say 70% of that library were incredible games. Incredible graphics, incredible soundtracks. Like you said about this is the point now where NPCs and characters in games were now talking to each other, actual physical dialogue. The games on the GameCube were brilliant, and it also has the best controller that's ever been created. The best controller known to man. A lot of people might say the Xbox 360 controller is, but in my opinion, the GameCube controller is by far the best controller ever. Don't agree with me? Fight me. Right, so on to my top 3 games. Now, this was hard because I have got a list of about 20 games that could probably switch out to be my best 3. But when I play the GameCube, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to these 3 games, and they are Eternal Darkness, Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker, and Tales of Symphonia. Now, let me get started on Eternal Darkness. By far, one of the best survival horror games that's ever been created. No other survival horror game has ever taking you on an emotional roller coaster like this game has before. I mean, stuff like your TV turning down, your controller stopped working, the message that you got when you was halfway through the game saying that your memory card has been corrupted on your GameCube. Do you realise how much emotion that caused me when I actually thought my memory card had broke mid-game? I thought, look, I'm going to have to do everything on Luigi's Mansion again. My Wind Waker save is done. And it enraged me. And then the game just goes, poop, and it's back. I was like, you son of a bitch. Nintendo created a console and created a game that trolled me. This was the original trolling. Yeah, Eternal Darkness, one of the greatest survival horror games ever made. And whenever you watch lists on YouTube and it's like, oh, my top 10 survival horror games of all time, it's always the same old tripe. Your Resident Evil franchise, your Silent Hills. It's the same old games over and over again, and Eternal Darkness doesn't get enough light of day. And to the point where Nintendo even lied to us. They said that we was going to be getting a remake of this game when the Switch first came out. Either a remake or a sequel, and it's never turned up yet. Chatty shit, Nintendo. Right, on to the next, which is Wind Waker. By far the greatest Legend of Zelda game of all time. Don't agree with me, don't care. This is probably going to cause some controversy, but Legend of Zelda 1 and 2 on the NES, extremely boring, but 2 of the most overrated games of all time. The Super Nintendo one, the Link to the Past, I didn't play enough of that for me to kind of say, yes, it's great, or it's not. What I played of it, I enjoyed of it. So I might have to return to that and give it another go so I can actually give it its kudos on being one of the greatest Legends of Zelda games. But anything that followed after Wind Waker, in my opinion, didn't step up to the mark, even including the absolute tripe that's come out for the Nintendo Switch. Wind Waker, by far the best Legend of Zelda game. And the last but not least, Tales of Symphonia. Tales, again, same situation as Tales of Symphonia. There's been about 12 of these games. Every game that's followed after them, Namco lost the magic, the spark that made what Tales of Symphonia was. There was the game that came after were extremely boring. The characters aren't as likable as the eyes of Tales of Symphonia. The world, they tried to make the world absolutely huge so you can wander around everywhere, which just made so many dead zones. and the spark and the magic had just gone out the series. So Tales of Symphonia, in my opinion, one of the greatest games on the GameCube. There is other games that could have easily jumped on this list, like your Luigi's Mansion, Star Fox Adventures, Mario Sunshine. Any of them games they could have easily just jumped on this list. But Eternal Darkness will always be my favourite game of all time on the GameCube, so that will always be there. But any of these other games could have just jumped in and replaced them. So yeah, the GameCube, and that's one of the reasons why the GameCube is one of my favourite consoles of all time. Not one of the favourite console of all time. Absolutely loved it. And I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful purple colour. The greatest controller ever known to man. It had attachments to this thing that you could play Game Boy Advance games on it, just to take your console to the next level. Yeah, it had everything. It had absolutely everything. An amazing console. So this brings us on to the next one, which is the Nintendo Wii. I hate this console. I hate this console with a passion. The only good thing about this console now is a great emulation machine. I don't want to be jumping around my living room like a freaking idiot while I'm playing video games. The time I spend with my video games, I want to sit, chill, and enjoy a relaxing time playing video games. I don't want to be jumping around, losing weight, and acting like a moron while I'm playing a video game. And to the point where I'm not even there's not even 3 games I could even put on this, because the library of games on this were just the same old shit, repackaged, rehashed over and over again. Getting dog simulators and cat simulators and fitness games and compilation games. There was just so much shit on this console. It's unreal. It really is. And they brought out all the stupid accessories, the baseball bats, the tennis rackets, the guns. There was just, I hate this console with a passion. And I don't understand why it's one of the biggest selling consoles of all time. I really don't. The only game that really comes to mind that I even remotely enjoyed was probably Smash Bros and Mario Kart. Mario Kart I got with my console, and got 2 stupid wheels of it as well. But yeah, I hated the Nintendo Wii. I don't want to be jumping around like an idiot, getting sweaty when I'm playing video games. I just want to sit there and chill. So yeah, I'm not even going to put 3 games for this console. I'm really not. This console can go and get in the bin. Nintendo ever come up with this concept again, it should put them out of business. It really should. Wii Fitness bullshit. Yeah, hated this console with a passion. Right, which leads me on to my next one, which is the Nintendo Wii U. Now, it didn't have much time in its lifeline. It was only around for about 5 years before it started getting phased off already, and it's a shame because it had some really good games. Graphically, it was a huge improvement from the regular Wii. Its library was a lot better, and I liked a lot of the game's integration with the tablet. I thought the tablet was a really good move. A lot of the games, especially stuff like Lego City. I know the Lego games are always seen as kid games, but I really enjoyed Lego City. I thought it was a good game. And I liked the fact that you could switch out your characters and you could navigate your map, and just little things that you could do with the tablet just made things so cool. So, that brings me on to the games. And a lot of these games, especially my first one, the tablet was perfect for. And that is Super Mario Maker. Now, whoever came up with this idea of giving the player the creative freedom to make their own Mario levels is an absolute genius. Super Mario Maker was so much fun. I will admit, I spent probably 80% of my time playing this game, making levels, than I did playing levels. But this game was awesome. And like I said, with the integration with the tablet, added so much more. You got a pen, you could move stuff around on the tablet, see it on the screen, press the play button, boom, you're jumping onto the actual main screen of your TV, and then you're playing the games you just made. Yeah, Super Mario Maker was awesome, and the tablet made this so much better. Just like with my second game, which is Mass Effect 3. Again, another game that was, graphically, it wasn't anywhere near close to what the Xbox 360 looked like, but it was, the integration with the tablet was brilliant. You could instruct the soldiers that was with you in your party. You could instruct them to go to different places instead of moving your cursor to behind that cover. You stay there, you move over to that cover. You literally look down at your tablet and you just click the picture, you go there, click the picture, you go there. It was so cool. It was really well done. And to be fair, I'm surprised a company like Microsoft or Sony didn't jump on the bandwagon and create something like the Wii U tablet as an add-on for their systems. So yeah, that's my second game, and my third and final game for the Wii U is Super Mario 3D Land. Is it 3D Land? Yeah, 3D Land. Yeah, another great game, a great introduction into the 3D Mario library. Solid game from start to finish. The puzzles are great. The soundtrack's awesome. Graphically was amazing. I know it was out on the 3DS. I did also have it for the 3DS as well. I probably played the 3DS version more because I had the 3DS on me at all times. But yeah, it was just an awesome game to play on the Wii U. So yeah, there's my my three probably favorite games on the Wii U. But like I said, graphically, the console was just far superior to what the Wii was, and I thought the library was so much better, especially with the integration of the tablet. So kudos to Nintendo coming up with that idea. It was good. Right, so that takes us on to the final console, which obviously is the Nintendo Switch. Now, I do own a Switch. Still own a Switch. Sat there right behind me. And I personally own, at this moment in time, 2 games for it. I've got Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, which I've completed. Not a huge fan of it anyway. And it's Luigi's Mansion 3. Again, the weakest one in the bunch. So not my favourite games on them. I have played other games that my son owns, but I'll get to the games in a second. The Switch is an okay system. I just find it's a system that, especially working in retail, that a lot of people buy. They'll play it for a few months because they just want to own a Switch, or they want to play the new Zelda game, or they want to play the new Mario game, and then they'll get rid of it. And I'm one of them people. I've owned the Switch 3 times. I bought it for myself when it first came out, and then I bought one again after getting rid of it. Bought one again for my wife because she wanted to play games on it as well. She only had it for 2 months before she got rid of it, and then we bought a third one not last year, the year before, for my son, who plays Pokemon games on it. Barring that, he's on his Xbox. So yeah, I just feel as though it's kind of if there's anything hot for it at the moment in time, people want to play it. I think there's a lot of trash on the Nintendo Switch. I think a good 70% of the library is just kiddie games or poor ports of other games that are on better systems. But it does have some decent games as part of its Nintendo license stuff. And my best 3 games that I've played on the Switch are Mario Maker 2, Shovel Knight, the Treasure Collection, and Kirby the Forgotten Lands. Mario Maker 2 was just more of the same as what Mario Maker 1 gave us, but with a lot more aesthetical stuff. It added the Game Boy stuff into it. It added a lot more the 3D Super Mario 3D Land tiles and stuff like it. It just added more to what was already a great game on the Wii U. Did it warrant me buying it again? Probably not. But it was a Mario Maker game, and it had the online support, which was obviously no longer available on the Wii U. So yeah, Mario Maker 2 and Shovel Knight, an amazing game. one of the best retro style platformers that's out there, but it's, again, like I said, it's just a port. It's a port of a game that's been out on multiple systems before. The reason I like this one is it had all the DLC, had a cute, really cool art card in it as well, and yeah, it was just kind of there, and I picked it up cheap, and I just loved playing it. But the last one, I will sing its praise to, in my opinion, is probably one of the best games on the Nintendo Switch, which is Kirby Forgotten Lands. An amazing reintroduction for Kirby in the modern gaming. Fantastic puzzle platformer. Awesome upgraded ability. You sucking in different things to traverse the world. You can eat a car. Like, Kirby can swallow a car to run over stuff. He can swallow what they call a massive vending machine to carry across the map to be able to use it to stand on top of. He can swallow a traffic cone. It's like there's just anything that's lying about in the world you can just swallow and just make use of it. It was a really good introduction into Kirby coming back and being a part of the modern gaming. And I hope to the love of God that Nintendo have got more planned for Kirby, because I think that's the way forward, and I think you need to concentrate more on characters like this, characters like Donkey Kong, Metroid, and every now and again throw a Mario in there. I think that's the way you may get people back to taking the Nintendo Switch serious. Also, we do need a Nintendo Switch Pro. We really do, because it's way behind other systems, way behind. You're about 3 generations behind now, Nintendo, and you need to catch up quick. So yeah, Mario Maker 2, Shovel Knight, and Kirby's Forgotten Land. If no one's ever played Kirby's Forgotten Land before, you have to play it. It's criminal that you've never given it a try if you own the Switch. So yeah, they're my 3 games, and that wraps up my ranking for the Nintendo systems in response to your video, Yorkshire Retro Gamer, West Yorkshire Retro Gaming, and I'm hoping I've not upset you as much as you upset me. I mean, where you placed the GameCube is absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal. But I enjoyed your video. I hope you've enjoyed this one too, and I do have a counter for you. I want you to take this formula that I have done, and I want you to rank the SEGA consoles, the Master System, the Mega Drive, the Dreamcast, the Sega Saturn, the Sega CD, 32X. I want you to rank them. Should only be short because you've only got a small library. And I want you to include the Game Gear in there, because I don't think the Game Gear gets enough love either. So yeah, West Yorkshire Gamer, I want a response to this, and I want a response video as well. And anyone that is wondering who I'm talking about, go and check the description at the bottom, because I'll be putting links to all his socials, his Kick account, his Facebook account, anything like that will all be down there. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching this one. Tell me what you think about my ranking system and the games I've picked for the consoles as well. Let's chew the fat. Let's have some banter in the comments below, and let me hear where you'd rank these systems. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you all. Bye bye.